In the last video, I left you with a challenge, and the challenge was, I don't know what you should be building or doing for that matter with AI, but probably more than what you're currently doing. And so in that spirit, today we're going to be starting a new series called Building Actually Useful Real-Life Tools with AI. Let's see if I can edit that in there. So, actually useful real-life AI tools. That's the question on everyone's minds, right? Because your boss is probably trying to tell you that once they implement co-pilots into the workplace, that everything's going to change. Your colleagues are showing you cool PowerPoints that they made, and you're going like, really, was that worth it? There's probably one old guy at work who's telling you about ChatGTP. Believe me, it happens. And the poem that it wrote his grandkid or something, and you're sitting there going like, geez, am I missing something? Like, what's the point? Because the things that you've tried, you put something in there, it spits something out, it's wrong, it's made assumptions that aren't true, you could have done the work a lot better yourself, and you leave just going like, that was a bit of a waste of time. You're sitting there thinking, am I missing something? Yes and no. So that's the whole point of the series. The point of the series is to show you why those things that you're really unimpressed by and scratching your heads at, it's like, is this what it's all about? Is actually not what it's all about. And then how you can get onto this side where you build something yourself using AI that is actually useful in real life. So let's get cracking with how to get to that point. Before we get into where to actually start, I want to just quickly give an example from something that happened in the world of chess. Now, I'm not a massive chess follower, but you will all probably have heard of the massive cheating scandal that happened a while back. It was pretty huge, lots of media coverage. I'd be very surprised if you hadn't heard of it. Anyways, regardless of what happened, one of the things that stood out to me during that scandal was a comment by one of the top players. It was something along the lines of, to cheat at that level, right? You don't need to be receiving move by move by move insight or information on what to do. You just need a very subtle signal in your ear or somewhere else about this is a key moment, right? That's all you need. The really good players are good enough that they can go for long periods of time with no assistance. They can make good moves long periods of time without any additional input. But there are a couple of key moments in the process, in the game, where a little like, hey, watch out, this is critical, can go a really long way. And the guidance in that area can just hands down win a game. It was something like, if you get guidance in like 4 key turning points in a game, that's all that they need. And so why am I telling you this about chess? It's the same with AI, and that's the point. So the AI models these days, and it depends on which models you're using and the effort levels and the harness and the setup and everything. But generally, the AI models these days are good enough that they can go through long periods of time, long-running tasks with very, very minimal input, and they won't mess things up terribly. But there are a couple of key moments where a little bit of human input just goes a massive way in steering the product and the project in the direction that you want to go, and allows the AI to continue working in the background for long periods of time without getting off track. The other thing is that if the player themselves makes the call in that key moment, rather than just being told what to do, the player is going to have a much better understanding of how to carry out the rest of the game based on the decision that they made, because they will have made that decision for a certain point. And it's the same when you're looking at an AI project. You want to be in charge of the key decisions. You want to own the key decisions, because then you have a much greater understanding of the future key decisions that come up. Like, if you have no idea why key decision B was made, how are you going to know what you should choose for key decision C? But if you are involved in all of the key decisions along the way, then you have a much greater input of actually steering this model where it needs to go and getting a real output that you can use. And that's something that you actually understand, which is the whole point of this. So now that all the preamble's out the way, the question you're asking yourself is, how do I start? Where do I start? So where you start, in my opinion, is with something like this. So I really love these kind of diagrams, I guess. What is it? Basically, along this x-axis here, you have your enjoyment, right? So if I can grab this thing, right, you got your enjoyment. How much do you enjoy this thing? From I hate it to I love it, okay? And then on this axis, the y-axis up here, you've got your skill, I guess, maybe ability, like how good, let's just put good. How good are you at this thing, okay? So now you're going to get to see my amazing drawing skills. Something that sits like over here. You're pretty average at it. You're like smack bang in the middle of like, I'm not great at it, I'm not useless at it, but I absolutely love it. That's something that sits here, okay? Something that sits up here, this is like the golden zone, okay? This is like, I absolutely love it and I'm freaking amazing at it, okay? Something that sits like in this bottom corner over here, you're just really useless at it and you also hate it. So that's a nice zone as well. You know, both of these are fine because, you know, like I'm terrible at this, but I also hate it. So it doesn't matter that I'm terrible. Unfortunately, there are some things that sit like down here where you're just actually terrible at it and you love it. That's like, yeah, that's a bit of a tough one. And same in the same way, there's some that sit like up here where you're like, you are really, really good at it. Maybe it's like doing accounting or something. You're really good at it, but you just hate it. So let me clean this up. Hang on a sec. Okay, so now that that's cleaned up, what's the point? Why am I showing you this? This is a really, really good chart, graph, whatever it's called, to get you to figure out what should you try and get AI to replace, and to figure out what you should just keep doing, okay? And so what we are looking for is we're looking for things that are like in this zone that it's not, why would you replace something that you enjoy and that you're really good at, you know? Especially this zone like here, I would say, like on the really high level of the enjoyment side, don't replace with AI. That's just going to perpetuate the thing that AI is trying to, like, it's out to get you and whatever. If you really enjoy doing it and you're like moderately good at it, then like just keep doing it. What's the point, right? So the zones that you really want to look at replacing are anything to like the left of this line, okay? So anything on both sides of your skill level, anything to the left of like, I'm like, I don't really care about how I feel about it. Anything like past here, like I'm really not enjoying this, that's immediately a good candidate to look at replacing with AI. And then also anything that you're just like really not good at. So I would say like this zone down here, right, is kind of like a really good zone to start looking at. And how do you put the stuff in the zone? Well, let's list everything out. So this, surprisingly enough, is actually our first key moment, if you remember the key moments from previously. Basically, we haven't yet decided on a job or a thing or work that we want to start incorporating either AI or custom tools into. And this is actually a key moment, right? And I'm going to give a hot take here. I think that if you're asking the question, where do I start? If that's your question, don't start with your actual work, okay? Unless you're a software developer or unless your company is forcing you to A, use AI tools and B, do so without any guidance, which is unlikely. Even in those scenarios, don't do it as your first step into building AI tools. A couple of reasons. One, you're already getting paid for your job. Two, you're probably already pretty good at your job. Three, you kind of don't really have anything to gain if you're just starting out, because the best thing that you can do is get it to do something that you already know how to do quite well. The worst thing is that you just don't deliver anything for 2 weeks and your boss starts like looking at his watch, right? So I'm going to make a video very soon on the importance of replacing yourself as and where you can in the workplace, but that's another topic. If you're starting out, start out with something, and this is the key, the tip here. Start out with something that you're like, I've always wanted to do X, but I've never had the time. Or I've always wanted to do Y, but I've never had the people, or whatever. That is the perfect candidate for thinking about or starting to think about a place that you can incorporate AI or custom tools or whatever into, because it's something that ordinarily you would not have been able to do. And now with the increased leverage of AI, you can start doing it. So that is the key moment number one, pick an area. So I'm going to use YouTube as an example. It's something I've always wanted to do, and it's something that I just don't really have time for. But we're going to see how custom tooling can help me out so much with that. In your brain, start thinking about what is that area that I'm going to do, because all of the principles will apply to that thing as well. So I now list out what do I do for YouTube, okay? Do research on training ideas, come up with video ideas, choose a title, choose a thumbnail text, make the actual thumbnail, write the script or flow, because it's good to have a flow. Otherwise, I start rambling, like now. That definitely wasn't scripted. Anyways, edit the video, edit the audio, come up with tags, etc. Okay. I've put here that key moment 2, and you're gonna laugh, but it's crazy. Key moment 2 is actually write this list yourself. Like, this is so important. Like, you need to write this list yourself. So many people, myself included, will give this list to AI to say, like, what do I do to make a YouTube video? Maybe they don't put it like that, but they want to try and remove themselves from all the parts of the process. Write this list yourself. Like, if you get the AI to write it, it's gonna imagine things. It's gonna get what the highest probability of things that you do. It's just not gonna work. And then again, it leads back to that earlier point of you're just gonna have no idea, like, why did I build that thing again? I don't even do it. So just write the list yourself. Yeah, so once we've got this list, we can start dragging these guys into that earlier graph that we had. Okay, so I'll just duplicate that graph quickly and we can start moving these things on there. Okay, so we've got that here. Let's start dragging some stuff in. Now, we need to use a little bit of discretion because unfortunately I haven't added a third dimension here, which would be like the difficulty to actually do axis for like either you or the AI. I'm not going to because I'm not a 3D renderer, but anyways, we need to use a little bit of discretion there. Like, it might be really great to do something like to edit the video. Like, let's just say, oh, I don't enjoy editing the video and I'm bad. Let's make an AI tool to edit the video. Like, yes, that is technically correct, but at the same time, that is significantly more difficult than certain other things on here. So for that, actually, I'm just gonna start by saying, like, let's just take out almost these guys. I wonder if there's a way I can strike through. Give me a second. Okay, I couldn't figure it out. Those of you who are Excalidraw experts, please let me know in the comments how I scratch this out or like put a strike through. Anyway, for now, I'm just going to delete these because I can tell you, and feel free to reach out to me. Like, if you've got an idea and you want to know how realistic it is, just reach out to me. Those who are not realistic to like get started as a beginner project, right? So we've got this left. So let's start coming up with the tags. I don't think I'm good at it. I didn't put tags on my last video and I don't enjoy it. So let's put that like down in this box here. Writing the video description. I'm neither here nor there with enjoyment, and I'm probably like a little bit good at it, but I don't know, maybe it sits like there. It's just like a middle thing, right? Writing the script in the flow, I really love it, and I think that I'm pretty good at it. So I'm going to put that up there. Making the actual thumbnail, I do not enjoy, and I am useless at it, so that's going to go like right down there. And also, again, discretion here, like, don't let AI, so actually, this is not even a good one to have here. Never let AI like come up with your video ideas. Okay, so there we go. That's pretty much it, right? That's exactly what we've got. And surprise, surprise, ta-da, we've got our perfect candidate for our first little project. So as you can see, as simple as that, we have now basically landed on the thing that we're going to build, which is a little thumbnail generator. Now let's take a step back and do like a feasibility check. Okay, this is a great question to ask. How valuable will this be if I can actually build it? And can I actually build it? How hard is it going to be to build, right? And so you can probably guess by now, but we're going to use a very similar method to this diagram over here, except instead of having the skill, ability, and then enjoyment here, we're going to have the difficulty and the value. So I've put the rest in here, and I'm going to show you my method for placing these things just with this example here. So if we take coming up with tags, you start by putting it on the difficulty axis, and I would say that coming up with tags is really easy. You just take the transcript of the video, which YouTube generates anyways, and you chuck it into AI, and it can come up with tags, okay? So it doesn't even start going up the difficulty scale. It's about here. How useful is this? Can you post a YouTube video without tags? Yes. Are tags good? Yes. So it's definitely not on this side of the value chain where this is no value at all. It's about here. I would say it's a bit easier than coming up with the video description, but not much more valuable. So maybe here. So the zone on this graph that we want to be looking at is we don't really want it to be too difficult, okay? And we want it to be valuable. So it needs to be below this line, so anywhere in this region, and to the right of the vertical line. So anything in this zone here is a really good candidate. So now we look, what was our first initial thought? It was making the thumbnail. So if we just take a step back here, we can see, okay, making the thumbnail is going to be a little bit more difficult than these two tasks, but definitely a lot more valuable. Every video has to have a thumbnail, and we all know it's super critical to the video. So I'm still quite comfortable with this choice, and that wraps up pretty much step number 3, or key moment number 3, which is the feasibility and the value. Okay, so now we are actually close to starting the build, or close to the end of this process where we pick what we're going to do. We've gone through picking the area that we want to focus on. We've gone through the actual task that we want help with. We've now gone through the feasibility and the value of that task. And the final thing that we need to do, which is key moment number 4. So drum roll here, because this is where it gets interesting. So key moment number 4 is stop. Okay, I wrote it big so we can all see. Just stop, take a moment. And the thing that you need to do is ask yourself, does the thing that I need already exist? Why is this so important? Because if you spend a whole bunch of time building something that already exists, and the thing that you built does that thing a lot worse, that can be really, really demotivating. So it's sometimes good to build something that already exists, but I'm going to show you an example of why we need to do this step number 4. So I'm going to go over to Claude Design, which I'm not going to go into huge detail now, but Claude Design is something that's available if you're on any of the paid plans for a Claude subscription. So in Claude Design, you can, as it says here, describe what you want to create. So I can describe, hey, build me something, right? And it can just build you something, okay? Specifically focused on design. So what I did here, and I'll show you my chat for my previous YouTube video. So I had a chat here, YouTube thumbnail design chat. So I pasted in 6 images here that I got myself. You know, you don't want to take time to build something and then at the end of it you realize, but this thing already existed, right? Rather just take a step back and say, you know what, I already have a great method of generating thumbnails. Let me not automate this. Let me not replace it, because this is where so many people go wrong. They try and get a tool to do something that they could already do pretty easily, right? Whether by themselves or with other AI tools. And so we want to be really, really specific. And fortunately, we've got that list. There's other things on there that are going to be super high value, like coming up with tags and writing descriptions and doing keyword research and all that cool stuff that we can now build, right? If we don't have tools. I happen to have a Claude sub and I happen to know how to use Claude Design. So why would I waste my time building something to do that? You really need to learn how to build these tools, not just copy someone else who's building these tools. Because at the end of the day, it's about adding value to your setup and not just building random stuff. So to wrap up, I'm not going to leave you hanging on this actual demo. I'm going to quickly show you exactly how I would use this setup, just in case you're interested. But remember, the point is build something that's useful for you, not just copy something that's useful for someone else. So I've taken these 3 very clickbaity pictures just by sitting here in the chair, and I've given a very basic prompt. Please can you generate 6 thumbnails with these images, 2 each. The text on the thumbnails should say, where do I start? And you can look at old thumbnails from video 1. I'm gonna hit send on here. Okay, so I'm gonna jump in here out of the sped up mode, which hopefully I was able to do on the editor. And you can see already it's getting started. It's taking inspiration from the previous doc, which is exactly why I store it in the same project. So let's just check at some of the stuff that I'm doing. Already I like this quite a lot. This is really cool. Yeah, so this is a bit of real-time AI use for those of you. I like this as well. So yeah, there's just a couple of cool things from this. I'm not gonna make you wait for this. I'll do a couple more runs through these prompts and just get it to the section that I like, and you will see the thumbnail when you click on this video. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope that you guys learned something, and hit that subscribe button if you want to catch the next video in this series. Cheers guys.